Well, hey, boys and girls, it is Brent Abel here, webtennis.com, with another episode of 7 Around 7. Here we are Saturday morning. Hope you've got some tennis lined up today, singles and or doubles. Maybe a little training session as well. Whatever you've got, let's get to it. Let's get her done. Couple things I've got for you today. I got another Tom Stow story for you. That really made a huge difference for me when I was seeing him. Kind of set me free. And look, and speaking of Tom Stow, we watched Novak last night, pull out a tough 5-set victory, and it just, to me, it's amazing what that guy brings to the game. And his mental capacity is just off the charts. And I know he must have worked on that part of his game for a long time, because I just remember him not mentally being all that tough, all that organized. It just seemed like he didn't really have a plan. And now he does. And he's going to be tough. He's going to be tough to beat tomorrow. But if he should win tomorrow and become the third male Grand Slam champion, right, in the calendar year, all four slams. I really hope Mr. Stow gets some tiny amount, at least something, some kind of credit for helping the great Don Budge back in 1938 become the first male Grand Slam calendar year champion. And I just, I doubt it will. I would think most of the talking heads on ESPN or the Tennis Channel, I'm sure know of Don Budge, but I don't believe that they know much about how he became or how he was helped to become the first Grand Slam calendar year champion back in 1938. And that was directly with Mr. Stow. So I've got a little story today about Tom and about something I got from him that really made a huge difference in my game. Before we get into that, look, guys, if there's a certain specific part of your game that you are struggling with right now, and it could be technique, right? Could be tactics. It could be mental, right? Could be part of the mental game, kind of an important deal, right? Could be physical, could be something else. I do offer one-on-one private coaching, not on the court, but you can either shoot me a short video, and we can do a Zoom session where we go over it and I compare it to, if we're doing technique, I compare yours to mine. And we can kind of see pretty graphically, what are the slight, if not more glaring differences that we need to help you kind of get focused on. If you've got some interest in that, and it is a different way of teaching, it's unique. And thank goodness for all the technology that we've got now in terms of video, in terms of Zoom sessions, in terms of being able to record that, upload a video, the recorded video for you to your own private webpage, all that good stuff. It's really an effective way of fast tracking whatever it is you want to improve upon in your game. If you've got some interest, you want to find out some more details, how it works, what the price is, just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. All right, here we go. The number one key ingredient of the Tom Stow must-have fundamentals. So look, if anyone, if you were to ask someone who knew Mr. Stow, and they would kind of say, well, what you might ask, well, what was Mr. Stow known for? And really what he was known for was fundamentals. The game without it is just an improv session. And he really believed that there were a few fundamentals that every player, no matter what style of play, that you got to have. And number one, for me, as I've told you this before, the first 15 to 20 minutes of every 3-hour session I had with him once a week with the three other guys that were in this group, and those three other guys, Doug King, John Hubble, Steve Stefanski, those guys were all top 5 at Northern California Men's Open at the time. And little old me, about, probably number 347. I don't know. I was way down there. I was good friends with those three guys, and I'd known Mr. Stow growing up at the Berkeley Tennis Club when I was a kid back in the 50s and the 60s, but I was playing baseball all the time. I had very little interest in tennis, even though I would hang out at the club during the summers quite a bit, either playing a little tennis, maybe after baseball, over at John Muir Elementary School. Hey, Mike, good morning. Whatever. But anyway, these guys were just great. And so for the first 15 or 20 minutes, we didn't hit a tennis ball. We just moved around the court, developing the posture and balance that Mr. Stow felt that you had to have. And if you didn't have it, if you were slightly off balance, he just kind of said, well, how are you going to be consistent as a shot maker? And obviously it made sense. So we would do that. But the first real fundamental that I got from him that I harp on all the time is the spatial distance away from the path of the incoming ball that you've got to create with your feet. Spacing, right? If you're crowding the ball, or if the ball's too far away from you, when it's time to swing, it's no bueno, right? I mean, it's like being a golfer where, okay, great, the ball's sitting there, but you've decided that you're going to set up to hit your next golf shot 5 feet away from the ball, where your arms are extended and you're jackknifing at the waist, you're leaning over. You're not going to do that. It just makes no sense. So for him, the very first thing was spacing. And I've written down what I think. I mean, I've really whittled it down. Number one is spacing. Number two is to prep everything behind the path of the ball. So rather than wrapping the racket behind you, right, which I used to do with the backhand, I would kind of turn to the backhand and really get the racket wrapped behind me, where you could almost see the top of the racket on the other side of me, right? I mean, it was crazy. But he really liked to have everything out to, I guess, lack of a better term, out to your side, so that everything was being prepped behind the path of the ball, so that when you were swinging, you were actually coming from behind the ball forward into it, rather than trying to do like a semicircle where you're swinging, in sort of a 180-degree swing path of the ball. Just felt that you were more consistent that way. So, and then the third thing was, and I always love this, was, could you approach? Could you be on such balance and have such posture, such good posture? You had the right spacing, you had the right racket prep positioning. Could you, and I'm talking about ground strokes, could you approach if you wanted to, right? Could you step into this thing and move through it another step or two, not artificially, but could you do that so that if you really conked it to a corner, if you wanted to, you could come in, right? I mean, we all see this with the pros, right? And we see it a lot of times where a guy hits a great shot to a corner and I'm yelling, go in. And, they've just been conditioned to just playing groundies and not moving in the net. Now, that's fine. I mean, it's a different game at that level. But certainly I see this a lot for the rest of us, where someone hits a great shot and they're not even thinking about the possibility of moving forward. They're not even thinking that, hey, this great shot, intentionally or not, has stretched out my opponent over there. And, if they get the ball back, it's going to be a sit and duck. Well, so many players just hit that great shot, wait, and see the sit and duck come back. And then out of their peripheral, they watch the opponent move slowly back in the middle as they're waiting for that ball to get to them back in the baseline. Opportunity lost. So those were the real basic fundamentals that I got from Mr. Stow. And he harped on those over and over and over again, to the point where it kind of felt like a little robotic, right? And I remember once, maybe 6 months into being in this group with him every Wednesday morning from 9 to 12 up in Napa on these two junior high school courts, that someone or somehow someone brought up the thought that, oh, I heard the other day that someone said, oh, well, all the Stow stuff is just kind of robotic. And he really bristled at it. I mean, he just said, look, he just said, first of all, that's not true, because he has coached players who are serve and volley, players who are all court, or players who are really purely 90% baseline until they get that situation that I just described, where they really stretch out an opponent and then they move in. But what he said that, again, like I said in the beginning, that set me free, he said that, look, guys, let's make sure that you've got these fundamentals first. And then after that, I want you to lay down on top of those fundamentals, what's your unique personality? What's your risk and reward ratio? And for me, it was athletically more, man, well, okay, let's keep working on these fundamentals. So I got them. But Mr. Stow, I want to be serving and volleying. I want to be chipping and charging. I want that feeling of the game, in terms of that's what I feel like athletically, right? That's how and Jeff Jacklitz says this so beautifully. He said that you take fundamentals, and then how do you express them? How do you express them athletically in your own unique personality, or with your own unique personality? And so the discussion got onto, he said, look, you can show me a pure baseline guy, or you can show me a pure serve and volley guy. And if I've worked with those two players, I'll be able to show you what are the basic fundamentals. And they both those players have them. But I've encouraged them then to take that personality, that unique personality, and lay it down on top of those fundamentals. So that really set me free. That really just gave me, and look, I mean, there were some helter-skelter times where I was just looking at especially when I was returning serve, right? Because when I was serving, I was playing pure serve and volley 100% of the time on first and second serves, right? But when I was returning serve, couldn't get in behind every return. But then the next shot, I was looking at any incoming ball to me, even if it was about to bounce on my baseline. This looks like a good approach shot opportunity. And so from time to time, he would have to rein me in and just say, all right, cool. That's fine. I understand your unique personality. You're a big time risk taker. Okay, that's cool. But on that ball, let's wait for one more ball that's a little bit shorter. So I hope this makes sense, guys. And I really want to encourage you to think about, what are the fundamentals of hitting a tennis ball? And whether it's a ground stroke, whether it's an approach shot, whether it's a volley, whether it's an overhead, even on the tossing placement of your serve, the number one thing has to be, well, what's the spatial distance you want to be away from contact? And you have to create that either with the toss on your serve or with your feet on all the other shots of the game, right? It's not like golf. The ball's just not sitting there. You don't get to kind of work your way up to this ball that's sitting there and figure out, well, what's my spacing? We don't have that in tennis. That's what makes tennis incredibly difficult, is we've got to deal with a moving tennis ball, and we have to be on the move, right? It's not like baseball. Baseball, you get to stand there, right? Yeah, it's a moving ball coming in, but you don't have to move, right? Tennis, we have to do both those things. So spacing is number one. And I would tell you, for however long it takes you, depending on how much time you've got to devote to practice, how much time you can get on the ball machine, you can work on the spacing thing off the wall. You can work on this, having someone underhand feed you balls. Work on it with a slow incoming ball and just discover for yourself. And let's take the backhand, for example. What is the spatial distance you need? Not me, not some other guy telling you, force feeding you, this is, how do you put a a round peg into a square hole, meaning that there's only one way to do it. There's only one contact point for every tennis player out there. No, we're all unique. We're all different. We all have different, whatever. And you've got to discover this for your own. If you're looking for a quick fix for someone to say, well, here it is, it's not going to work that way. So I'll tell you this, no matter what you've got with your stroke technique right now, if the one and only thing you do in the next 30 days is working on discovering what is your unique spatial distance required for a forehand, for a backhand, for a toss placement on your serve, right? For whatever it is, pick out one stroke that you're working on right now, that you're dealing with, that really could use some attention. That if you were playing an unknown opponent out there and the first thing they notice, not only in the warm-up, but in the first couple of games, okay, well, this dude has got a little struggle on this one shot. I better force feed a bunch of stuff over there, and let's see what happens. If you've got a stroke like that someone's picking on, then man, the next 30 days, don't do anything else other than create twice a week a practice situation, whether it's with another practice partner, whether it's off the ball machine, whether it's off the wall, whether it's off one of those stroke developers, right? A stationary ball. Just find out what is your ideal point of contact for that stroke. And that's gonna tell you what your spatial distance away from the ball needs to be. If you do nothing else but that, boom, you're going to be such a better player. So, all right, that's it for me today. Time for a little farmer's market here in downtown Steamboat Springs this morning. Mine, I love going over there. It's just great. It's right by the Yampa River, and it's just a bunch of real life ranchers and farmers. I love it. I just love it. Anyway. So look, guys, that's it for me today. A reminder, if there's something you want to work on with your game, you need some help, you want some direction, you want to do a little private one-on-one coaching. Typically, it's a 30-minute session, a recorded session that if you've got video, great. If not, don't need the video. We can still work through whatever that thing is. I can give you direction. But if you want to do that, again, it's private. I create your own private webpage where I can upload the recorded session. You can watch it there or you can download it, whatever you want to do. And if you want to do that, if you want to find out more about the details and the price, just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. I'll get back to you, let you know what it is, and then you can just decide if that's a good fit for you or not. All right, that's it for me today, guys. It's time. We all got to get out there. Help another human being have a spectacular day. Guys, I'll see you again tomorrow.